Hello everybody, this is Tiffany and I am going to discuss with you today my neighborhood. It's called Villebois Village. It's in Wilsonville, Oregon. And sadly I knew absolutely nothing about it until about a week and a half ago. I've lived here for about 4.5 years. We moved into the neighborhood. It's a newer development area and lots of young families, and so that really appealed to us. It's beautiful. There are a ton of parks and lots of like nature trails and all sorts of stuff. Anyways, we'll get into that in a little bit. But before we proceed too much further, I want to discuss with you guys what urban renewal is, because I had heard of it before, but I didn't really have a full understanding of what it meant. So Villebois is an urban renewal site. There are a couple other places in Wilsonville that are also doing this, but I'm going to specifically be discussing my neighborhood today. So urban renewal is a form of economic development, and it varies from state to state, but in Oregon, our Constitution allows the legislature to set up a system to finance urban renewal. And that law basically gives each city and county the ability to activate an urban renewal agency with the power to propose and act on plans and projects to remove blight. So, blight, in case you aren't familiar with that term, like an example of that would be like a building that is unsafe or unfit for occupancy, or the existence of inadequate streets. So in this particular neighborhood, the plans were officially adopted, I think, in 2003. Prior to that, it had been the place of an old mental health hospital that had been shut down and been just vacant for a really long time. And so the city thought that this would be the perfect site for some urban renewal. So in terms of looking at the cost for urban renewal, most urban renewal plans are funded substantially out of local government property tax levies through something called like a division of tax revenue. So the division of tax revenue is calculated by splitting local government property taxes between the local governments that levied the taxes and then the urban renewal agency. So the city is still getting property taxes paid to them, but there's like an extra little portion that is going back into this urban renewal. And those taxes and the amount can be reassessed each year, but that's pretty much the general rule. Let's see. Okay, so here you will see what the original land use plan was, and if you look at the legend on the upper right hand side, you can see that they have it, that our neighborhood currently has very diverse forms of housing. So we have condos, apartments, townhomes, and then single family homes, and then the single family homes they come in different sizes. So we have small ones, medium ones, and big ones. Villebois was developed because the city recognized that there was a job and housing imbalance. So we had a lot of jobs available and hardly any houses available. So this is trying to fill that need. Villebois Village was designed with 3 primary tenets: diversity, sustainability, and connectivity, which I just think are really fantastic because it is absolutely showing justice. Now, in a little bit later, we will discuss whether that justice has actually been implemented or not, but I think that initially it was definitely headed in the right direction. So in terms of diversity, we have the multiple types of homes for different economic financial levels, I guess. Like I said earlier, the neighborhood is definitely geared towards young families. So we have a lot of those here. However, we also have a couple of different buildings or homes, housing areas. Yeah, that's probably the right word. for people with mental health issues, and it's incorporated into the design and layout of Villebois. So one of the key aspects of this land being available for this use is that we incorporated some mental health living facilities into the design, which I think is awesome. So Catholic Charities manages Rain Garden and Renaissance Court, both of which are mental health areas, but it's incorporated into the design, so you wouldn't even recognize that they're there. And it allows them the opportunity to just live like normal people. They live independently. It's really a cool program. And then Northwest Housing Alternatives manages Charleston Apartments, which provides affordable housing options for families, seniors, and people with special needs. So I'll show you pictures of both of those areas in a couple of slides, I think. And then the city of Wilsonville annually qualifies all three of those for property tax exemptions, which is really great. There we go. Okay, so these pictures just show the different types of housing, I guess. So the upper left picture shows the single family homes. You can see that our roads are really wide. We have bike lanes, we have really wide sidewalks, super transportation friendly. There are bus stops all over the place where we connect to the Max line, which is really convenient. That's like maybe 2 miles away. And then, yeah, so super transportation friendly. And then the upper right picture is our townhomes, and then the bottom the bottom middle picture is apartment complexes. So the bottom level, the floor level, the ground level is different shops and restaurants, and then the upper levels are the apartment buildings. And then all of the buildings are built very sustainably and environmentally friendly. There are solar panels all over the place. They use green appliances. It's very, very earth friendly. So these are the two of the three buildings that I wanted to show you. Rain Gardens is on the left, and then Charleston Apartments is on the right. So as I said before, and this ties into the connectivity design tenet the Villebois Village Concept Plan had originally adopted. So there are nature trails all over the place, and you can kind of see on the map. So this is the Ice Age Tonquin Trail. This trail specifically allows dogs. All of the other trails though don't. But there are people outside walking all the time. It's really, really great. So the top left picture explains why no dogs are allowed, and that's basically just to make the biodiversity happy and healthy and the other animals not stressed that are native to the area. And then the middle picture is actually a picture of a trail that I was running yesterday, and it leads to the upper right picture out in the woods. It's really, really pretty and nice and cool for those hot days. We have a bunch of different basketball courts and tennis courts and bocce ball courts, and there's actually a tetherball court right behind this one. And so this is just right outside my neighborhood, or right outside my apartment, and very convenient for everyone. So picture the same area. This is actually where our farmers market is typically. It starts after Memorial Day at the end of May, and the picture on the left was actually today I took it, and then the picture on the right was yesterday. I went on a morning walk with my dog, and it was sunrise, and it was just so picturesque. These parks are basically right next to each other. There are so many areas that are friendly to children, and again, just that like young family vibe to it. It's really, really great, and it gets people active and outside, and gives kids a good alternative to, staying inside playing video games, that sort of thing. This area is, so basically we are walking in a circle right now around my neighborhood. So this is kind of like that village center. So Villebois was originally designed to have a center, and this was supposed to be it. So you can see some apartments in the back, and I showed you a similar picture earlier. And then there are businesses below the apartments. The idea is that there will be literally businesses all the way around this little like cobblestone brick area. That has yet to happen. And this was originally developed or started developing in 2003. So what I've noticed is that I think the rent is just too high right now. It takes a lot for business. So a lot of these little shops have been empty and vacant for years at a time. There's a little coffee shop, like kiosk thing, in the middle. You can't really see it, but it has actually gone out of business. I think it's been there for a year and a half, and there have been 2 different coffee companies that have been there, and it's terrible coffee. So that might be part of their problem. But yeah, it just businesses haven't flocked to this area, which is really surprising because of how many families live in this area. I would think that there would be a really high need for it, but they just, for whatever reason, have not developed yet. The lower right-hand picture is our bocce ball court, and you can see the little black sign to the right is actually that coffee kiosk thing that I was telling you about. Yes, so there's that. So that brings me to an event that happened here at the end of March. We had a terrible fire. It burned down a 4-story apartment complex that was under construction. About 20 homes were destroyed. There were, I think, upwards of like 15 cars that were completely destroyed as well. Balin and I actually, my husband, sorry, I woke up in the middle of the night smelling smoke, and so I went outside and I couldn't see anything. And then I went outside in the morning. This happened at like 1 o'clock at night. I went outside in the morning and there were just chunks of like ash everywhere. And so we went for a walk and people were everywhere. But we found out that this fire had happened. And I think that's one of the things we really have to think about when we're developing new neighborhoods, because all of these homes are built so close together. The lot sizes are very, very small. And so the apartment complex that burned down, not only did it affect that apartment complex, which was empty, nobody was hurt or anything like that, but the homes that were close to it, have severe damage. Cars were just completely melted. Lampposts were melted. And the one thing that I keep hearing is that the fire spread so quickly. And the apartment complex, because it was still under construction, it didn't have any it didn't have a sprinkler system, and so that definitely contributed to it as well. But because these houses are packed so tightly together, it makes fire much more dangerous. And so I think that's something to keep in mind when we're just looking at urban development and looking at justice issues. Villebois is a great concept. I think that they definitely have the best of intentions. They want to provide housing. But unfortunately, this is a risk that goes along with having a lot of houses and trying to get the most bang for your buck in terms of land. Additionally, and this is unrelated to the fire, one particular justice issue, this neighborhood has gotten, it's very popular. And because of that, housing prices have skyrocketed. For a townhome, it costs upwards of like $300,000, if not more. I don't quote me on that one. It could be up as high as $350,000. But it's not affordable. Bailyn and I live in an apartment and are paying probably way too much for this apartment. It's great. We love the convenience of everything. But their original goal was to provide affordable housing for everyone by having townhomes, and that's just not the case. You have to be upper middle class in order to afford anything in this neighborhood, which is really sad. Outside of the buildings that are managed by Catholic Charities and the Northwest Housing Alliance, I think. And so that's just my thoughts. This is an absolutely wonderful neighborhood to live in. I really, really like it. But there still are justice issues to keep in mind. The other thing that I've noticed is everyone that lives here is white. There are no African Americans, there are no Hispanics. It is a hugely white neighborhood. There might be some like Asian people that I've seen, but again, upper middle class, yeah, they have priced out people that have a lower income, which is really unfortunate. So we don't have quite the diversity that they had originally envisioned for this area, I don't think. Anyways, that is pretty much it. That's my neighborhood. I hope you like it. I just realized that I'm ending on a fire, which is probably a little unfortunate, but if you guys have any questions, any thoughts, I would love to hear from them. We'll talk soon. Bye.